Well, let's bring in Mary Kay Cabot. She joins us here on the North Homestead Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram hotline, as she does every Thursday. Mary Kay, you had an article that says hopefully his citation for 101 miles an hour is a huge wake-up call. Tell us why, Mary Kay.
Well, there's a number of reasons why I feel that way. And I think probably the first one is the fact that 100 miles an hour, which is 40 miles out over the speed limit at that time and place, that's not just 10, 15, even 20, 40 miles an hour over the speed limit. That's pretty dangerous. And sure, maybe I sound like a get off my lawn type of person right now, but that's very significant in my mind, because we know that Myles Garrett learned a huge, huge lesson by going over the speed limit, losing control of his car, and really could have lost his life and could have killed his passenger had they not been wearing their seatbelts. So 40 miles over the speed limit at the time of morning or night, however you want to describe it, at 12:30 a.m. on a Tuesday is just a very dangerous thing to do, first of all, for not just for you, but like you said, for whoever might possibly be in your path. So I think he's very, very lucky that he didn't hurt himself, or it seemed as though he was with someone in another car that was also speeding. I'm trying to figure that whole thing out. But they could have hurt each other significantly or someone else. And I just thought it was interesting that it also happened on the same day. You've got Henry Ruggs wishing he could turn back the hands of time. And of course, Henry Ruggs, you can't make an apples to apples comparison here, because Henry Ruggs was driving drunk, and that's different. That's vastly, vastly different. Shedeur Sanders was not impaired while he was driving, but still 100 miles an hour is 100 miles an hour. So that's the first thing, is just the dangerous aspect of it. And then the next thing is the fact that he's in rookie orientation. This did not happen in his hometown. This did not happen somewhere else. This happened when he was here on Cleveland Browns time. And they're watching everything these guys are doing on and off the field. This is someone that's embroiled in a four-way quarterback competition, and they're trying to see, can you handle everything that goes with being a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? So those are two of the reasons. And I just think it is significant. I think it's something that the Browns are definitely going to have to address. And I think it's something that Shedeur is going to have to look at himself and ask him why at that moment in time would he make a decision like that.
Barry Kay Cabot joining us on the hotline. Do we know, does the team, we've had so many instances of players over the years, even rookies, having various infractions, some far more severe than others. Do we know anything about how the team treats something like this, if at all?
Well, they declined comment yesterday, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will address it. They would have to. Like I said, again, he's in rookie orientation. So this was basically, he was on the clock, not at that moment necessarily, but he was still here in a working Browns capacity. And it's just not a good look, if anything else. Not only is it not a good look, and it brings negative attention to the Cleveland Browns and to himself at a time when he doesn't need negative attention brought upon himself, but he was working. He's still here working, and he's still here fighting for that Browns quarterback job. And he's been doing a really, really nice job in the competition. And I had just written a couple of days ago or over the weekend how well he had done in the last 2 weeks of this competition, to the point where he had earned more reps, he had earned more 11-on-11s, and he's still part of that starting conversation. And does this change all of that? Probably not, but it's definitely something that will need to be addressed.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us here on the show on the North Homestead Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram hotline. There's a forgotten quarterback in this competition, it seems. I mean, we've talked, we had a big old Heru with Kenny Pickett and his family member earlier this week and all that other stuff. And obviously we know Joe Flacco very well. Dillon Gabriel hasn't been spoken about. Have you talked to any players? You don't need to name names, but have there been any players who have told you, or been any sources that have told you what the teammates think of Dillon Gabriel?
Well, that's interesting that you should say that, because teammates are being asked a lot about Shedeur Sanders, but they're not being asked a lot about Dillon Gabriel. And if they were asked a lot about Dillon Gabriel, I think you would hear some of the very same things that you're hearing about Shedeur, because both of those guys have done a really, really nice job in this competition. And there wasn't a humongous discernible difference in their level of ability or talent during the OTAs or during the mandatory minicamp. So Dillon Gabriel also did a really, really nice job. And there are so many things that the Browns really like about him. And he's still firmly in the mix in this competition. Now, I do think ultimately it will come down to either Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco. But you can't count Dillon out either, as you cannot count Shedeur out right now. Again, I think those two guys will they'll probably take their time with them a little bit and give them an opportunity to learn and grow in at least the first half of the season. But Dillon's done a really, really nice job. And one of the reasons why is because he has one of those computer-like brains with tremendous, tremendous processing speed. And that's the thing about him. That's sort of his superpower. That's what the Browns really love about him.
Barry, Kay Cabot with us right now. There was a conversation on our station yesterday in the afternoon, specifically about whether Shedeur Sanders is getting a legit shot here from the media, whether or not the media has actually been fair to the 5th-round pick. Mary Kay, you're in the media. You're covering Shedeur. I feel like you've been nothing but fair and, in fact, talking glowingly at times about Shedeur. So do you think that is off base, or have you seen maybe some of your colleagues, some of your rivals in the media? Have you seen any of this?
No, I don't think so. I think we've all been very, very fair about Shedeur, about all of these guys, really, for the most part. I don't think that anyone's been negative about Shedeur. I think what I've tried to be is very realistic about Shedeur and paint the picture the way people need to see the picture. And that is, he's a 4th-round pick. I mean, he's a 4th-team quarterback right now, 5th-round pick, obviously. But he's a 4th-team quarterback right now who has not gotten any reps with the first-team offense. Now, that will change when they get into training camp, because now he's earned some of those reps through a really, really good performance from, let's say, from the snap to the end of the play. He has got great accuracy, nice touch on the ball, great ball placement, all of those kinds of things. The thing that they're working on, that the Browns have been working on with Shedeur, is bringing him up to speed in the early part of the play, and that is the pre-snap stuff. And it doesn't mean he's not going to get it fast, because he's working really, really hard. And he's got a very high football acumen, but he hasn't had to do some of these things before. And even when we asked Tommy Rees about calling the plays and doing all the things that you have to do pre-snap, he said it's a lot harder than you think. And I think that's what the issue has been, and why the Browns have sometimes worked with him over on a separate field, or made sure that he's doing what he needs to do to get that play called and to get the whatever else that they're doing with them right now pre-snap. Now, they're not doing everything that they're going to have to do pre-snap right now in terms of sliding protections and calling the motions and getting everything straight, but they have to do a lot, and they have to know the terminology and all that stuff. So that's the stuff where he had to sort of catch up or get up to speed. But he's coming up that learning curve very, very quickly. And I think I've just tried to paint the right picture here, or portray it accurately, instead of just really looking from snap to end of play, which he has excelled at. So I think people need to know the truth of what is going on. You can't really necessarily make these bold, sweeping proclamations right now about the fact that, he looks better than anybody else in camp, and he's going to be the day one starter. Right now, I think that's a bit of a long shot that he's going to be the day one starter. Doesn't mean he can't do it, but he would be coming from behind.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us here on the show. Mary Kay, I want to ask you this. I asked John Greco this. I've espoused my opinion on it. Is Andrew Barry and Kevin Stfansky this year, are they a package deal?
I would no. I'm going to say no. I don't think they're a package deal. I don't think they're a package deal, but I also don't think they're in any kind of trouble. So I don't even think it's a conversation that necessarily needs to be had, because when we talked to Jimmy at the owners' meetings, he almost gave them a pass for this year based on the fact that they are still trying to figure out who their quarterback is. So I don't think they're evaluating them in terms of make or break type of season. I think they're looking at this a little bit more globally, like they've got these 2 first-round picks next year. If they don't find their quarterback of the future in this bunch, they'll go out and try to get him next year.
Well, Mary Kay, so are they good no matter what then this year? Because I don't think they should start the season on the hot seat or anything like that. I don't think that that's how a proper team should think. But at the end of the year, you don't think about 6 years together and everything there and whether or not we trust each other or trust everybody to move forward. And maybe if it doesn't go well, find the next quarterback and coach him up properly.
Well, I mean, you can never guarantee anything. But like I said, I think the fact that everyone in the organization knows that there is at least one eye peeking at next year in this quarterback class to find that guy. I don't think that they are going to be under extreme pressure to win big this year in the event that they don't have their quarterback.
So when do we judge them on wins? A pro team. When do we judge a pro franchise on winning? Because if I can't, I mean, it's been 6 years, and I understand, like, there's definitely reasonable excuses for both Andrew and Kevin if we want to break it down. But at some point, you know, fans got to throw up their hands and go, okay, well, if I bring in a rookie, and then what, do I expect that rookie to win big that first year when we're just getting out from under Deshaun Watson's massive contract? And we know we have other guys who are changing in there. Like, is it putting too much on a rookie? And then am I putting him behind the 8 ball if after the 2026 season, we are moving on from Kevin Stfansky and Andrew Barry, the guys who drafted that young man?
Well, how many teams can you point to, or how many coaches can you point to where they have won consistently and kept their job over a long period of time without a good starting quarterback? Maybe there are a few, but for the most part, the coaches who succeed and keep their jobs have a good quarterback to go along with that. So I think that's the name of the game for the Browns. I think they recognize that the Deshaun Watson experiment did not go well for them, obviously, and that they're looking for their next guy. And I just don't think that this year with this group of 4 quarterbacks that they have great expectations to go super far into the playoffs.
Mary Kay, we thank you very much for the art. Is your home okay with the storms? Was it okay?
Yes. I hope your guys' were too.
We had to go down to the basement, and I felt bad about feeling this way. I was annoyed because I was falling asleep, and then the buzzers went off on the phones and everything like that. And I went, oh, my God, we got to go down to the basement. And then you're trying to calm down young kids. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, it would be scary with kids. So I'm glad everyone's safe. And I have not assessed the damage around here yet, but it looks like at least we didn't get it too badly right here.
She is so nice. Thank you so much, Mary Kay. We'll talk to you again soon. Next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Mary Kay Cabot on the North Homestead Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Hotline.